Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Friday Live. I'm super excited to be here with you again this week, ready to come up with some more creative ideas for the weekend. So I hope you're excited, and if you're here for the first time, welcome. And today, of course, I'm going to be talking about rusty layers. So over the past few weeks, we've been looking at coloured backgrounds. Then last week, we created some interesting textures. And then this week, we're going to take a look at how the canvas ended up after last week. And we're going to add some rusty layers using the rusty powder from Powertex. So, of course, when you use the rusty powder, you do need to have a binder as well, which the Powertex Ultimate Medium acts as a binder for the rusty powder on your artwork. So it is absolutely beautiful. So we're going to have some fun, and just let me know you're here. I can actually see your comments today, so hopefully I can answer your questions as we go. So please just pop in and let me know where you're from and whether you've actually used the rusty powder yourself and love it. So let's get cracking. With no further ado, we'll get started. All right, so down to the art table, and we're looking here at what I actually did last week. So if you remember, we talked about creating this crackle effect and how to get these beautiful large crackles. So you can see there that essentially where the Easy 3D Flex was put on in a thicker layer, you've got much larger cracks, which are just incredible. So if you do find that you're not getting decent cracks, you'll find it's usually because you've manipulated the 3D Flex too much, or maybe there's something that has actually been added in. So this is cracked nicely, and it's got some nice variations. So where it is thinner, you can see I've got some thinner cracks, and just a really, really nice texture to work from and on. So all a bit exciting, and we'll get cracking on some rusty. So I'll show you a little rusty canvas just to show you where we're headed with this and where you can actually go with it. So let's take a look at this. Hang on, got the wrong one there. So if we take a look at this, this is a little canvas that has been done with in the same way as the one that I've just shown you. So essentially the layers on this have some of those coloured backgrounds that we did the first week. So it's actually got a black Powertex in the background as an underlayer. And then I've put on the Easy 3D Flex, so like I showed you last week, on the black surface so that you have the black and white. And then from there, I've actually done the ivory with the blue bistre like I showed you in the first week of coloured backgrounds. Hey, Kathy from California, lovely to have you here. Have you used the rusty powder at all before? It is absolutely awesome to use. I'm going to show you today. So after that blue bistre layer has dried, then I've actually done a rusty layer playing with different types of rust effects on there. So this one is done in the same way. And so you can see the beautiful effects that you actually get. So you can see the background coming through from underneath here. And of course, like I said, this is the 3D Flex in here. And I have added some sand and balls on there. So no, you haven't tried it. Well, you are in for a treat. So it is absolutely brilliant to work with. So, and then here's a third one. Take a look at that. And so you can see how you can just play around with different compositions, playing with the different structures and textures. So like I say, black background with black Powertex, Easy 3D Flex with Ivory Powertex to create the textured layer like I showed you last week. So if you did miss those videos from last week, then you know, you can watch them again. So just simply go to the video section on the Powertex page on Facebook or to the playlist Friday Live on YouTube, and you'll find the replays there. Loads of things that you can choose from. There's so much content. But for the last few weeks, like I say, we've done coloured backgrounds, then we've looked at textured layers, and then this week we're going to look at rusty. So let's go back to the art table and we'll take a look at getting started. So this little canvas here, so this actually has the blue bistre has been done on the Easy 3D Flex that was white that I showed you last week, and now I can actually rub some of this back with a little bit of water if I want to, and then actually take some rust onto there. But I have got quite a plain canvas here that I thought I would use. So it's just basically something that is a nice surface that has been reworked a little bit, needs a little bit of a makeover. So you can see there that it does just need something a little bit different, some more colours and layers on the top, and we can just build it up. And Natalie from Bag End Studios, welcome. And she's just saying she hasn't used the rusty powder for a while, and I absolutely love it. And Christine's here as well from Broome. So welcome everyone. Lovely to have you on live. All right, so what we're using, of course, is we are using the Powertex Rusty Powder. I recommend getting the larger size. It does come in a small size. So the larger size is about twice the price of the small size, but it has about 4 times the amount of rusty powder. And you'll find when you're playing with it, it's just nice to have the large size. But if you just want to try it, then get the small one and then get the large size next time. So we're going to use that. We're also going to use some Powertex Ultimate Medium, and I'm going to use the Ivory Powertex today mainly. It is also really nice with the white Powertex or even with Powertex Transparent. With the Transparent, you will find that you get a much darker layer of colour. All right, let's get started. So I've got a little container here. I've got my rusty powder. I've got my Ivory Powertex, and I've also got some vinegar. So the vinegar is important for actually activating the oxidation of the rust. So first thing we want to do is put some Ivory Powertex out. And we'll pop it in there. Now, I do have comments from people from time to time who just say, you know, they have tried the rusty powder, but it doesn't get enough of a rust effect for them and it stays grey. So I will be talking through this and explaining what you need to do to make sure it goes that beautiful rusty orange colour that we're after. All right, so I've got my Ivory Powertex. I've actually put a fair bit in there. So I do want the colour of this to actually go quite dark. So I'm just going to give that a stir up. Now, I want a bigger tool. Oh, look, that one's perfect. Sorry, guys. All right, so I'm going to use this tool, which is kind of flatter, and it actually is better to use a plastic tool. So see how I've got quite a lot of ivory in there. So I'm going to need a lot more rusty powder than what I've currently got in there. So you want it to be a dark grey colour, not too dark, but definitely a middle tone. And so you can see it is good to have that larger container of rust. There we go. So that's getting a better colour. So if you find that your colour is not going orange, then the issue that you have most likely got is you're not using enough rusty powder and probably not enough vinegar. If it goes black, then you're using just too much vinegar and it has oxidised more than what you want it to. So this is quite lovely to work with now, so I can put it on with a palette knife, but I can also put it down in some flat areas as well. So we'll just do that. So I can use the Powertex and rusty powder. Oh, guess what I forgot to do? Hello, Ashley. Wake up. It's not going to do much if I don't put the vinegar in, right? I'm thinking, oh, that's more stiff than it normally is with just my Powertex. So I have got a big bottle of vinegar here, but I'm going to, instead of pouring it straight into my vinegar mix, I'm going to pop it into a little cup there so that I can control how much. And I just want to put a few drops actually in that mix. So that is going to activate that rusty powder, which is what we want. Hello. Alrighty, that is more the consistency that you would expect. So see how it is quite runny now because of the vinegar. Okay, so let's just work that into that surface. And I've got also a bottle of vinegar and water. It's actually got a mix of spray. Okay, so at least that's got some vinegar on it there now. And I've got my other palette knife as well. Now I can actually drip it out and that's all going to go nice and rusty. I could also, use a pipette or a tool like that to actually work back into that. So the main thing is that you're working with that darker colour and that it's not too grey or it is actually going to stay quite grey and it's not going to transform into that beautiful orange rust. So there you go. There's a start for us. And so what's the thing that you've already learnt? Make sure you put the vinegar in, right? So even me, I've been using and doing this technique forever. You can see you still need to check yourself and go, hey, oops, I didn't put that in. Better go back and do that. All right, so take another look. Hey, Michelle, lovely to see you. And yes, please do ask any questions you have about the rusty powder or anything I'm doing. Okay, so we've got vinegar in the mix. Now, the other thing that is really lovely to work with is actually the 3D sand. And this will actually give that runny mix more body. And so it will make it have more form, which is really gorgeous. So it'll make it more gritty and structured like a normal rust would actually be. And as I've said the other week in some of the previous layers when we've been talking about texture, what the sand is really refined. So this sand, you can see it's more like a very fine pumice and it is really gorgeous to work with. So I'm just going to, I don't want to put too much in there because I don't want it to split, but I want enough that it actually gets a little bit of structure to it. It's a bit exciting. Put a little bit more rust in to there. And then we can actually get that and we can put that onto our work. So you can see it's got a lot more structure to it. So it's more like a cement now, that sort of consistency. And so I can actually build up more structure, a more structural layer with what I'm doing. And again, you can see I quite like to use that other palette knife. Oops, dripping it everywhere. Don't want it on my nice colour there. But sometimes drips can be a nice happy accident as well. We can put a bit more structure up on some of this. And so you can see I've got a bit of a textured layer happening on here. So if I want to, I can just keep building that onto there. Now, after that, you can actually also put so let's say I put it down here, and I'm going to just add a little bit more Powertex into there. A little bit more vinegar and rust. Just give that a stir around. So this mix has less sand in it. And so you just can play with the different consistencies and how much of everything that you want to add. So it's really very playful, but the main thing is that your rusty layer is dark enough. So if you're finding it doesn't transform into that beautiful orange colour of rust, then you really want to just make sure that you are thinking about, you know, maybe you haven't put enough rust. And on the surface of your canvas as well, you can actually pop a bit more of the powder actually directly onto that surface, and actually also then mix that in. So it will give you essentially a different tone to what's happening. Now, I do want to use all of this up, so I'm going to, I could keep going on this one, which I think I just will. Scrape a little bit out of there, but I will do a little bit more on this after I've finished. So it's pretty straightforward. The other thing that you can do is you can use your easy structure as well. So with the rusty powder, it will actually go rusty in the easy structure too. So that's a bit of fun to play around with as well. Okay, we have got a couple. Hey, Taryn, lovely to see you here. Great to have you. I think this is your first live, isn't it? And Christine's just asking what will happen if the rusty powder is lighter. So Christine, essentially it just will not change colour. So I can actually now spray this. I've got a mix of vinegar and water in here. So I've got about a quarter of vinegar, and then the rest is just topped up with water. And this will also help the oxidation of that rust. So you will find that this actually takes time to change colour, but yes, if it's not dark enough, then it will stay this grey mouse colour. So if you find that happens, then just do another layer of your rust and over the top of it, and it will just give you a bit more structure. I can see a little bit that this is starting to turn already, so it is starting the oxidisation process, and you will find that that will happen. So let's take a look at using the, I've got a wet cloth here somewhere. There it is. All right, and just do a minor mini cleanup. So Taryn's just saying that she usually works on Friday, but she's home today and she's not feeling too well. Sorry to hear that. Nice that you could make the live though. So hang out and watch while you're home in bed sick. Sounds like a good thing to do. All right, so let's take some of the easy structure now, and we can just take some of that out of here. And pop some rusty powder into there. So you can see that is very, it is very what's the word? Very light. So it hasn't got nearly enough rust in there. So I've just added a little bit of ivory Powertex just to act as a little bit more of a binder with the easy structure, but I don't always do that. So let's put some more rusty powder in there. This is nice and thick and playful. Who here has actually used the rusty powder in their artwork? So I know, Natalie, you have. Mary, lovely to see you. She's just had visitors arrive though. So you can always, remember, you can always watch it in replay. So you just go to the videos section and you can actually re-watch it later. So that is no problem. Look at that lovely structure that we've got there, and we'll just add a little bit of, tiny bit of vinegar. Oops, that was more than I wanted. Never mind. Into the mix, so it's gone a bit floppy again. Ooh, look at that. Lovely, I love it. Good fun. And I'm just going to chuck a bit of sanding because I can as well. Oops, there we are. It's a bit like cooking, right? Need a bit more pepper, need a bit more salt, need a bit more of this, a bit more of that. Okay, and then we can go wild with a bit of a thicker structure on there. Love it. Love working with Powertex. So for those of you who haven't actually got your hands on any Powertex yet, you are just going to love this. You are in for a treat. It is such a fantastic medium to play around with. And once you start playing with it, you're a goner, because once you start playing, you just want to keep playing more and experimenting. So I've been working with the Powertex for over 10 years now, and I still love working with it. I love playing, experimenting, and just seeing what happens when I try different things. All right, let's take a look back down to where we are. So you can see that is all looking very kind of grey at the moment, but it will go through a transformation. I generally like to leave it overnight to see what has happened, and I do really like to use every skerrit of what I've made up. So I'll just scrape those bits out of there. I will definitely be scraping and using all of that all of that up at the end of the session. So you can see what I'm doing. I'm just wanting to put a little bit on there. All right, so there we have it. And as I say, you can actually, you know, pop a little bit more on to some areas so that you get a darker tone on some of it, a darker orange colour. That's looking rather gorgeous. I might just do, oops, that was a rather lot. Some 3D balls on there would be really nice now, but I haven't got any within reach. But that's okay, I can pop those on in a minute. What I love with the 3D balls, and I think I have talked, I don't think I have actually talked about those in the last couple of weeks, but what they are is when you put them on your artwork, they come in different sizes. So there's a large, medium and small, and you can actually put it onto your artwork, and they are quite porous. So I find with the rust that it actually acts a bit like a capillary action, and that oxidized rust on the surface of your artwork sucks up into the balls, and the balls actually end up going rusty. So I think you can see that on some of the other smaller canvases that I actually did. So of course this is going to transform from how it looks now to these beautiful oranges that are in here. Now, see this bit here where it's darker? That's where it's actually done with the Powertex Transparent, whereas these orangey bits are done with the easy structure and the ivory, or just the ivory and the sand, and you get this lovely orange colour. So if you do want a bit more darker rust colour, then that's how to get that, is playing with your transparent as well. So this is going to go from this to this. So it's pretty amazing. You can see these balls on here. It hasn't done it so much on this one, and I tend to knock these around a fair bit, but you can see that they're tinged with rust colour. Now, if I wanted to, I could also get some matte pigment in red ochre or mocha and actually colour those up and then embellish them so that they have a similar rusty colour here, but then I can pop them and the darker colour will make them stand out. But I quite like them like this with the little bit of contrast. But what I do love about the rusty powder is that you get this very realistic rust on your artwork, which is just absolutely glorious. It is so beautiful. And Taryn's just saying she's used other rust powders, but she's keen to try this one. So yes, absolutely, get your hands on some of it and have a play. So of course, if I take the rust onto this layer now, I'm going to get these beautiful turquoise colours actually coming through the orange contrast of the rust. And that's how I've actually done this one. So you can see that it transforms from this to this with the rusty powder on it. So did anyone have any questions at all? I'll just spray this again quickly with the vinegar before I say goodbye. And I usually, with the vinegar and water mix, I usually actually do it about 3 times. So I just put a bit of a puddle of the vinegar and water mix on there, and you will find that that starts to transform. So you can see it's starting to oxidise as we are standing here. So particularly over in this corner here, you can see it's starting to change colour. So I would just leave that until tomorrow and then see what happens with that. And I just want to make sure that I have said everything that I need to say as well. So rusty layers. Alrighty guys, so just remember, just a quick recap. So the rusty powder needs the vinegar to actually activate the oxidization. That is so important. And then you can use the rusty powder also needs to have a binder, so that's what the Powertex does. It acts as a binder with the rusty powder and really creates that beautiful, realistic rust effect on your artwork. So the products that we've used today, of course, have been the rusty powder itself, the Powertex Universal Medium in Ivory. The transparent is also beautiful to use, and we have used the Sand and Easy Structure. So we've used quite a lot of products today, but they are all so handy to have in your mixed media kit. And I love mixing things up, and I know a lot of you out there are like me. You like to get in and have a play and create layers. So with your artwork, it's really, really important to start thinking in layers. So everything becomes a layer for the next layer, and you're working it towards the end product. So it's a bit like getting dressed in the morning. We put on all the underclothes and undergarments, and then at the end you're putting on, you know, your coats, your scarves, your hats, your bling, and that's where, you know, what makes the whole story really beautiful. So it's the same with your canvases. Treat them with the backgrounds, play in layers, and bring them up to that point where they've just got the most gorgeous textures, colours and surfaces. So it's all in the layers. That is the trick. So, of course, if you do want to learn more, I have got a rusty powder video on YouTube that you can watch. And so that is a full demonstration as well. So you can have a look at that one. And next week, we will be looking at atmospheric effects. So how to create beautiful, soft, atmospheric effects, and we're going to be using the Power Wax to do that. So if you are going to run out to your nearest Powertex supplier and grab some rusty powder and some bits that we've used today, you might want to get the wax as well, because we will be playing with that next week. Alrighty, so if you need any questions answered, make sure you go to the Powertex Creative Hub on Facebook, connect with us there, and also you'll find it's a great place to share what you do. You can see lots of inspirational artwork in there, and it's such a nice community. So we hope to see you in there in the Creative Hub. If you haven't joined, the link is actually in the description, so you can join there. And if you need more information about Powertex, you can also go to the website, which you will find in the description. So connect with some of your trainers near you and see what they've got coming up in the way of rusty colours and rusty play. And I'm sure they will be happy to accommodate some workshops for you with this if you would like to paint and play together in a social environment now that we're starting to open up. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here. I'll just quickly check the comments again and make sure that I've seen everything. So Natalie from Bag End Studios, she's so wonderful. She's a very talented artist, and she runs workshops up in Queensland. There's an amazing team of artists there working with Powertex, down the rabbit hole artists, and they are great to connect with. Beautiful bunch of people. So if you're in Queensland, make sure you connect with Natalie and find a trainer near you. So Natalie's just saying, I need to get better with that, and they look fantastic. And yes, it is a lot of fun. The rusty powder is just absolutely awesome. So what are you going to do this weekend? Have a think about it. Maybe you'd like to play with some rusty powder this weekend, and that would be great. Now, for those of you out there who are starting arty businesses, or you want to start an arty business, or maybe you've got a business that you sort of haven't taken anywhere really yet, and it's not at the level that you want it to be, I have actually got a free masterclass that I'm running next week on Wednesday evening, Australian Western Standard Time at 6 o'clock. So you can check the details out. I will put it in the comments. I haven't done that because I didn't realise I was going to say that. But I will put the link in the comments for you too. But you can find a couple of posts around the place giving you more information on that. Okay, guys, have a wonderful creative weekend. From me to you, enjoy creating. Ciao for now. And I'll see you again next week with atmospheric layers.